We're here now in good nights 4 through 6, okay? You just spent time on nights 1 through 3, and now we're ready for good nights 4 through 6. So I do recommend moving to this phase after 3-4 nights of doing the first part. Again, move at your own pace, but if you want to get the sleep job done, this I suggest starting already on night number 4, okay? We are ready now to gradually phase you out of the picture more and more and more. Hence why this is called the gentle phase out method, okay? The past 3 nights you were using as much touch as necessary, but now we want to start moving forward to get your baby used to falling asleep more and more on his own with a little bit less of your help. So instead now of full touch, we're going to use full voice to better sleep. So at bedtime, you're going to do the same thing, bedtime bottle, bedtime nursing, bedtime milk, bedtime water, whatever it is. Put your baby down, drowsy but awake after that initial, wind down process. Now, at this point when you usually use full touch to help your baby sleep, use your voice, not touch. I want you to actually move yourself about a foot or so away from your baby's crib so your baby can still very much see you, very much hear you, but you're not going to be tempted to reach out and touch him. And he's not going to be able to reach out and touch you. You can sing, shush, lightly comfort with your voice, but I want you to go to no touch here. So if your baby is younger, closer to 6 months, usually he's not going to be able to get up on his own at this point. But like I said, I do suggest just moving yourself a good foot or so away just to avoid your baby reaching out and touching you, and just makes it easier on everyone. Remember, your baby can still hear you. Your baby can still see you. Your baby can still smell you. We're just phasing off of that touch a little more because there's 3 main components here to help your baby sleep. There's the visual aid of seeing you, which he's still totally getting. There's the audio aspect of hearing you, and there's that tactile aspect that you had before of touch. Right now we're just getting rid of the touch, but he can still totally hear you and totally see you. So as we progressively move through the other phases, we'll slowly get rid of seeing you a little bit and eventually get rid of hearing you. But right now, I want you to move to the phase of not touching your baby, but still him being very much aware of your presence, very much hearing you, very much being able to see you. Now, still at this phase in the game, foundation is key. We're still focusing exclusively on bedtime and the nights. Still in this phase alone, I still want you to make sure naps happen. However, wherever, just keeping that structure in place to make sure that they are at a right time. Now, sticking with only doing these bedtime and nights, we're gonna probably wait till the end of this week when your nights are much more solidified. I usually don't incorporate nap training ideas until solid night sleep is very much in place, so your baby, it's not really a foreign concept. And why I do that is because if you're just going to be focusing on bedtime and the nights, aside from the burning out and making sure that days stay consistent, your baby can fight sleep during the day much more than he can at night. He could theoretically stay awake 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, even more straight during the day, and I don't want your baby to get so overtired, and I want to make sure you do that. And I want to introduce naps when bedtime is much less of a foreign concept, when this whole idea of falling asleep on their own is a lot less foreign to your baby, so that way it can be a much smoother transition to during the day. Now, again, with finding your sleep station, you can really stay in the same place as you were when you were doing full touch. If you have a chair, just move it kind of maybe a foot away. If your baby's in your room, move your bed a little bit further away, or move your baby's crib a little bit further away. If you're on a mattress on the floor or a rocking chair, just move it, like I said, just a little bit slightly away, just to make the technical setup easier that, again, you can't reach out and touch him. He can't reach out and touch you. And the goal here is really just to make sure that you're a little bit further away, so that way he can only see you, only hear you, but there's no touch involved in here, okay? Now, with feedings in the night, if the spacing that you did through good nights 1 through 3 is going well, I want you to start spacing it out a little bit more here. The goal here is not to stretch your baby too much, but just have a very, very slow nuance of change so we can slowly start spacing out those feedings more and more. Okay, so as you're phasing yourself out of the picture more, right now we're moving out of full touch, I want you to phase out the night feedings a little bit more. So I'm going to stick with the same examples that I used last time of phasing it out. Before, let's say you're doing the 10:30, 11, 2 a.m. and 5:30. Bump it up another half hour, 45 minutes. Have it be 11, 11:30, 2:30 a.m., and 6 a.m. Just bump each feeding up slightly. Again, if your baby's not eating at night, this part's not going to apply to you, but just bump it up slightly so that at whatever the hour increment that you've decided, if it's 3 hours, bump it to 3.5 hours. If it's 4 hours, bump it to 4.5. Now, I really want to make sure that you stick with it. So do something that you're comfortable with, that you're not going to push yourself to do more than you feel is necessary or that your baby can't do, but just slightly a little bit more, because we want to get your baby acclimated to lasting longer stretches during the night. Now that first feeding around the 10:30 mark, that's going to stay. And I'm going to tell you about that in the next slide when we get to even, the further along down this gentle phase out method. Don't have that first feeding be later than, let's say, 11 or 12 tops, depending on when you've started it, because that's eventually what's going to hold your baby out till the morning. And that's the last absolute one to get rid of. So if that first one, if you're starting around 10 or 11, make sure it doesn't get later. If you're starting at, 11, 12-ish already, which is the point I said not to make it later, just keep it at that time and bump out the second or third or second and third feeding. So it would potentially look like 10:30, 11 being bumped to 11, 11:30, then 2 or 2:30 being bumped to 2:30 or 3, and 5 being bumped to 5:30 or 6. But if you started already at 11:30 or midnight for that first feeding, because that's what you felt comfortable, keep it there and just bump the next feeding later. So if you had it at 11:30 or 12, initially keep it there, but just bump the next one. Let's say it was at 3, bump that one to 4. Or if it was at 2, bump that one to 3. But keep that solid one there. I don't want that first feeding to be later than 11:30 or 12, and I'm going to tell you why later, okay? But I want to make sure that everything still stays the same. We still have the 5-second rule before any bedtime or middle of the night bottle or nursing or milk or water. If your baby wakes up close to that time and you're in this phase of the gentle phase out method but not touching full voice, use the 5-second rule if you need to. If you've set your time to be 11:30 p.m. that your baby's having his first feeding and he's awake at 11 and he's crying and you're doing this gentle phase out method and it's 11:10, 11:15, 11:20, it's almost 11:30, don't just pick him up. Use the 5-second rule, go out of the room, count to 5, come back, start anew. Really important, because we're trying to break that association. Still make sure you keep the spouse help rule in place. I still want to make sure whoever is starting each sleep session is the one that is finishing it. No switching off and on between the two of you. You could do every other wake up, first half of the night, second half of the night, but whoever starts each sleep session should be completing it. Okay? Now, one thing that is going to change now is this stand up, sit down rule. Whether your baby is sitting up and doesn't go back down on his own, or he's standing up completely. Right now we've phased off of touch, right? So I told you I don't want you touching your baby anymore. How is this going to come into play? So at this stage in the game, we want to avoid a power struggle. I want to avoid baby pops up, you put him down. Baby pops up, you put him down. During the first phase it was fine because this was just a very gradual new change. But right now I want to make sure that this isn't something that continues. So what I want you to do is to enlist a little bit of a different stand up, sit down rule. So this applies to whether your baby is standing up or your baby is sitting up and doesn't go back down. When your baby gets up that first time, again, whether it's standing or whether it's sitting, I want you to put your baby back down. Place your baby back down. Even though we're in the no touch, this is the circumstance you can touch him in. Lay him back down and hold him down for, 4 or 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to hold him down firmly, but not to hurt him, not harshly, just so he gets the message. It's time to lay down, okay? After that, those few seconds, you're going to let go. What's going to happen? He's going to pop right back up to sitting position, to standing position. Repeat the process again. Hold him down, lay him back down gently. 1, 2, 3, 4, then let go. A third time, you might pop up again. Do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then at that point, after you've done it 2 to 3 times, I want you to go back to your sleep station that's a foot or so away and do not touch him, because he's gotten the message at that point that it's time to lay down. And I don't want you to have to do it over and over and over. I want him to learn how to get himself to sleep and how to lay down on his own to get himself comfortable. So after doing this stand up, sit down rule 2 or 3 times, I don't want you to do it anymore. I want you to just sit there and give full verbal shushing, singing reassurance without the touch so he can lay down on his own, because he knows what to do. You're still there with him, but I don't want him to get dependent on that touch of needing you to do it over and over again. And it's really important. So only do it those 2 or 3 times, and that's any wake up. You can do the 2 or 3 times at bedtime, do the 2 or 3 times at the next wake up, do the 2 or 3 times at the next wake up. It's not 2 or 3 times total the whole night. Each wake up, you do the stand up, sit down rule for 2 or 3 times. And after you incorporate it over and over and over and over and over and over and over, he's going to get it. And he's going to learn, oh, hey, I'm tired. When I feel this tired sensation, I'm supposed to lay down and go to sleep. Got it. All right? You got it. He has this. This is nights 4 to 6. Ready to go for it.